Agreed.
Let's go. Denver Broncos 21. Philadelphia Eagles 17. Eagles get up to a 17-3 lead. And then the Broncos with a fourth quarter comeback. They get up. They get within 7, 17-10. They score a touchdown to make it 17-16. And then go for two.
Yeah, they did.
With a lot of time left in the game. This wasn't like a last-second go-for-the-win decision. We'll discuss this in a minute. They go for two. They get it to go up 18-17 and then tack on another field goal to make it 21-17. It wasn't scoregami, but the way we got there was a scoregami-ish type of way. We're going for two with 8 minutes left in the game. Really impressive comeback for the Broncos. And then another, kind of sleepy second half for the Eagles offense.
Yeah, and that's, I think, a big takeaway from this game is it happened again for Philadelphia.
Can we start with Denver? I got a lot to say about Philly, and I feel like we spent a lot of time on them in the preview, and I don't want to overdo it. Can we start with Denver?
Sure. Where do you want to start?
They pulled it off, man. This was an impressive win. They're a team, they're 3-2 now. They hadn't trailed in the fourth quarter in any game. This is the first time they've trailed in the fourth quarter, right? Because they lost on game-winning field goals to the Chargers and to the Colts. They're that stupid leverage. I'm going to keep referencing the leverage play.
Yeah.
Leverage play away from being 4-1.
Okay, let's start with the decision, the 2-point thing. This was a new wrinkle on this. So Denver is executing this comeback. They get scores on the board quickly. They get the second score. There's still like 7.5 minutes left in the game. And instead of most coaches, almost all coaches, would just kick the extra point, tie it up, and try and win the game later. We got 7.5 minutes. We're cooking, right? Sean Payton instead decides to go for two to take the lead instead of just tie it up with, again, 7.5 minutes left on the clock. Number one, I think this is a really interesting decision just generally, right? Let's try and take the lead here. Number two, I think specifically for this game, it was really smart because it threw all of the pressure onto this Philadelphia Eagles offense that was stalling again, right? That was doing the thing they've done every game this season, which is we just cease functioning for a while. And that had happened. They tightened up. They'd stopped scoring. They'd stopped moving the ball. That was enabling this comeback from Denver. Like one half of that equation, you got to stop them and you got to start scoring yourself. So they were tightening up. And so Sean Payton goes, well, all right, let's heap pressure on top of that. They're already kind of choking, right? Let's make it even more intense and pressure. If we take the lead now they have to get going again because they need to put points on the board. I think that was really, really smart. They go for it. And if you don't get it, it's fine. 7.5 minutes left. We've just scored twice in the last few minutes. We're good. Like there's plenty of time left in this game for us to get the ball back and add a field goal. And if we do score, we put all this pressure on this offense that's already melting under pressure.
I didn't hear Peyton's explanation for it. I'm not really sure if that was the case or not. I mean, for me, we just had the discussion last week with Seth Walder where we talked about, okay, if you definitely the Seth Walder discussion from last Wednesday, which you should check out if you haven't yet, that's a traditional get-to-7 situation, right? And I just wonder if this was like it's a traditional put 7 on the board situation, and instead of putting 7, you go for 8, and it just changes the probabilities. Where if you get it, all of a sudden, okay, yeah, the Eagles have to score now, or else the game's over. So if you do, you put this out there, like if you do pitch a shutout for the rest of the game, you win. If you don't get it, like you said, like we'll get the ball back, and then in we talk about game-winning field goals as like this. These are kind of easy now, right? 50, you don't have to travel that far. You'd have to have a long drive to get into game-winning field goal range. I wonder if there's something there because I haven't dug into that mathematically. If that early in the game, just going for 2 makes sense, because if you get it, your win probability gets jacked up, and if you lose it, if you don't get it, all right, it's just not as even as the win probability added there. But worked great for Denver, and their defense did crack down the second half. Again, this is a Philly and a Denver thing. So credit to the Broncos before we talk about how bad the Eagles' offense is and what's going on there. The Eagles come out with the first second half drive. They get a 47. It was 10-3. They 47-yard touchdown to Saquon Barkley on his little wheel go route out of the backfield. So it becomes 17-3. After that point, the Eagles punt 4 straight times, and then have the final drive where they get stopped on the Hail Mary. And on those 4 drives that ended in punts, 54 total yards, moving backwards with a couple penalties and everything. 3 straight 3-and-outs.
Yeah.
So from an Eagles perspective, I want to break down, like, why is this thing disappearing? And then from a Broncos perspective, of course, they did a great job locking things down. We also got to see, by the way, plenty of Patrick Surtain against A.J. Brown. I think Surtain was very good overall. There was a 30-yard, if you're seeing, I haven't seen the coverage stats out there, if they are out there. There was like a 30-yard defensive pass interference in there on Surtain that never shows up in the stats from any provider. But I would say overall, Surtain, couple pass breakups, looked really good in this game. Hey guys, real quick, only 40% of our viewers are actually subscribed, so let's change that. Hit that subscribe button, and now let's get back to the action.
Pass interference calls should show up in coverage stats.
And we never did this when we were at PFF. We just had, catches and receptions, and, the social media teams at these various institutions don't seem to care about that level of context because it's not always readily available. But obviously it's a factor, right, if you're seeing those stats out there. So it was actually a good back and forth battle between A.J. Brown and
it was a good battle. It's also, I think, partly because sometimes those calls are bad. And it's like,
no, they
feels harsh to pin that on a guy's coverage stats. But anyway.
But it's happened a lot through the years where it's like, this guy held so-and-so to 1 catch. And it's like, well, he had 50 yards of penalties or something.
Final 5 drives for the Eagles, 0 points, 2.7 yards per play. So, again, it did stall. The other thing, I wanted to talk a little bit about this. Remember we said in a show relatively recently, I forget exactly when, we're talking about how you shouldn't be. I don't think I'm starting to come around to the idea that instant replay should not be a slow motion thing unless it's like a black and white. Did the foot touch in bounds, right? Like we can slow that down to super slow mo, high def, 4K, zoom right in because it's just a simple black and white thing. Was the foot within the bounds, and on the floor? There are other things though where I think you fabricate different things just by slowing it down and zooming in and going super slow-mo. This had a perfect example of that. The Eagles at one point sent Cooper DeJean on the blitz, and he forces a fumble from Bo Nix. And it's like, well, it's a clear forced fumble, right? He's got him before the ball starts to be thrown, forced fumble, and then we slow it down, super slow-mo, and it's like, oh, no, look, there's a split second here.
There's a frame of the
there's a couple of frames where that elbow's starting to come forward. And if you look at the rules, it says if his arm's coming forward, that's an incomplete pass. But the thing is, that distinction was meant to stop plays where it's like your arm has gone from here all the way to here, and then somebody has hit the ball, like hit your arm there, and like most of the way through your throwing motion, it's hit the ball, your arm has been hit, the ball comes out, and it's like, well, that's clearly an incomplete pass, right? Yeah. This is one, though, where if you look at that full speed, it's clearly a fumble. He hits him basically at the same time the arm is about to come forward. Like, it's a clear fumble. But then if you go super slow-mo, it's like, look, we can find a couple of frames here where the arm has started to come forward biomechanically. So by the letter of the law, that's an incomplete pass. It's like that's one where you change what happens on the play by slowing it down. That, to me, feels like a bad use of instant replay. Like we are changing reality, effectively, by super slowing it down and saying, oh, no, if you go frame by frame, but it's like the classic definition of those sort of bang-bang plays, which I'm not generally a fan of. But this is so close. You actually change your interpretation of it by slowing it down. I think this is a fumble.
I'm torn on it. I got to watch that replay again.
But you have to watch it full speed and be like, you have to make the determination at full speed. You can't slow it down to super slow-mo.
If he's getting into external rotation, I think
that's what bugs me. Because it's like full speed, this is, to me, is a clear fumble. This was not what the arm coming forward thing was supposed to create.
What's the arm coming forward? Because your arm externally rotates. Is the elbow? Is it the elbow coming forward?
Right.
Or is it the hand coming? Because after you externally rotate, like you pause a pitcher, we're like this. We're at like 180, and then it starts.
But it's also, it's like the intention of the rule, right?
Or the elbow coming forward.
It's like the intention of the rule. The idea of like the ball control, like with the catch, right? Does he have control of the ball? That was designed to be like, if you're juggling the ball and you haven't actually caught it yet, that's
not moving it within your hands,
right.
Which
it wasn't designed to be like, let's slow it down, let's go super slow-mo in 4K, and if he moves the ball within his hand, well, how could he have control now? That's not control. So instantly, like, completely clean plays, live, full speed. It's like, oh, look, that's an incomplete pass. What? That's not we created that call by going to super slow-mo 4K. That's what's happened here.
You're on an incredible run of off-topic rants here today.
Yes.
And
Just because this one
I don't know
showed
if we can keep it up. It's an incredible pace.
We can. There's some blowouts here.
We're 4 games in.
We can get right through a few
3
games.
incredible rants. Not much on the Texans-Ravens game, but you are on an incredible pace here. If you can keep it up, it could be one of your best shows of all time.
There's a
or
lot
worse, depending on how we want to look at this.
Right. There's a lot of dead rubber games. We can get through a lot. I'm just saying we need this was the perfect example of a play where I believe super slow-mo instant replay changed physics, like changed reality.
While we're ranting about random things, and we might need to get Dean Blandino on the show for replay discussion, the peanut punch to the face discussion.
Yes. Oh, we forgot to cover that in depth.
Oh, yeah, we said we were going to talk about it more. I don't think, just as a quick aside, I don't think you should be allowed.
Because that's an ejection if it happens like between the play.
Yeah, I don't think you should be able to punch a player in the face.
Agreed.
Even if you get to the ball eventually.
Well, you can't. That's the only situation where it's allowed, right? Like if you do that to the quarterback on your way to sacking him, it doesn't matter if you eventually sacked him. The fact that you punched him in the face on the way it turns it into roughing the passer.
Got to find the one from a couple years ago. Though I think it was T.J. Watt on Justin Fields. Which
it was definitely
like
T.J. Watt.
A blow to the face. It's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Eventually got the ball.
Right. It's the only situation, like the guy where you just decide to overlook.
Of course he fumbled. He took a Tyson overhand right.
where the officials just decide to overlook not just a blatant foul, but an ejectable offense because he got the ball afterwards.
There's a lot to talk about this one. And then the other one for Dean, I always like to my intentional grounding soapbox. There was a play in this game where Bo Nix was called for grounding. Clearly he's trying to throw the ball away. The point of the rule is not to not allow quarterbacks to throw the ball away. Like, you're allowed to throw the ball away. It's just be like receiver in the area.
And right after that, there was a huge play, Bo Nix to Cortland Sutton. Like, they would have been that's a game-changing call, deciding to pick that flag up, which is the correct call.
It was the right call. I agree.
Flag.
It should not have. I was in the middle of complaining about them actually calling it,
right.
And then the broadcast didn't know that they overturned it, didn't mention it, and then Nix converts to Sutton. Mm-hmm. All right, so there's one other massive play in this game, and we got to talk about what happened with the Eagles' offense, because we talked about this on the preview show, the fact that they are a little boom or bust, that they throw the ball down the field, and they don't throw the ball to the intermediate level. But there was, in the fourth quarter, where the Eagles only had 50-something total yards. There was a 4th and 4 where Jalen Hurts throws another good deep ball, and that was how the Eagles moved the ball in this game. Deep ball to Devontae Smith early, deep pass to Saquon Barkley for the 47-yard touchdown. Hurts hit 3 of those deep passes. He should have hit 4. 30-yarder to Devontae Smith on 4th and 4 from midfield. 4th and 4 from midfield. He hits it, negated because of an illegal shift. The number of times yesterday, my theme for the day. Some weeks it's the blocked punts and it's the missed field goals or whatever. This week was illegal formation, illegal shifts. The number of plays. There was a back-to-back plays where the Chargers had negated big first downs just by, it didn't form legally. Illegal formation. Can't have it. This illegal shift, instead of first down in the red zone for the Eagles or right outside the red zone, it becomes 4th and 8 from their own 45, and they punt it 23 yards back to the Broncos. So that was a big play in this game. But once again, Jalen Hurts. If we can put up the passing chart here. No middle of the field, but no intermediate level. None of that 10 to 19-yard level. So if you look at his passing chart, he hit on some of those deep balls, right? He missed on a bunch of them, and then there's a whole bunch of short stuff. But you see that 10 to 19-yard range if you're on YouTube? There's nothing there.
One incompletion.
There's 2 pass attempts, 3 pass attempts,
right?
Just even in that range. And it's very boom or bust, right? So he hits those deep balls. Those are great. Like, they flip the field with a bomb to Devontae Smith, a pass interference to A.J. Brown, and then they throw to Goddard. Like, 3 explosive Eagles offense shows up in these little spurts.
And they had more opportunities. I mean, there was the one where A.J. Brown kind of throttles down. Hurts missed him as well, I think. I think it's 2. I think both are true. So there's that. That could have been another monster one as well.
And so the number that sums this up for me, like, there's a whole bunch of short stuff, and then there's a whole bunch of deep balls. I always joke about the Baylor offense in college, right? If you're going to chuck 10 deep balls a game and you just hit 4 of them, it's like, wow, you've got 4 explosive plays. Who cares if you have a couple incompletions in there? But at some point when you're up 17-3, this becomes a really inefficient way to run your offense. And then you say, why is Saquon Barkley when you're up 17-3 early in the second half. How does he end up with just 6 carries? Well, there was no rhythm to the Eagles' offense. They tried to run him, and there's a 10-yard holding penalty on one of those second half drives. So there's just no rhythm there, and I think this number sums things up right now through 5 weeks. The Eagles are 13th in EPA per play. Not awful, right? It's not – you'd rather be top 5 if you're the Eagles. They're capable of being top 5. They're 13th in EPA per play, but they're 24th in success rate. Those two numbers are usually very highly correlated, right? If you have a high number of successful plays, it's usually good for your EPA per play. When you're high in EPA, low in success rate, it means you are boom or bust. You are either hitting these big plays that are helping the EPA, but you're also missing a ton of plays. And that's where the Eagles are right now. A lack of efficiency, staying on schedule, and a whole bunch of like prayers down the field. And they ran out of them in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy. So in a game that they led the majority of, Saquon Barkley had 6 carries. That itself is kind of nuts. And if you look at what Denver was doing, they were like stacking the box and they were showing them, run defense looks, right? Everyone's up at the line of scrimmage.
I mean, I saw that. I saw Sims pull that out. Did you see that from Sims? Like, that wasn't really the case. They had looks. They could have run it.
They could have
run it.
But why are we not? You've got Saquon Barkley plus Jalen Hurts. Like, it's not just it's Saquon, and if we get a heavy box, it's problems. Like, you also have Jalen Hurts. We can offset an extra man in the box just with numbers because Jalen Hurts is just as likely to carry the football as Saquon Barkley is. So, chew the clock. Like, just run it.
And Denver's got a great pass rush. Nick Bonito, tackled the quarterback 3 times yesterday. But you were just inviting that. And they had some dialed up good play calls. They had a little throwback, tight end drag that, but Jalen Hurts gets his hand hit on the throw. So the pass rush is getting to him. So, look, it's interesting to me. Like, I think Jalen Hurts is very good. And I mentioned on the preview show, I think he is unique. You can't say very unique. He's just unique, right? He's a very unique player. I just said it. Because I think he's good overall. But stylistically, there's not many QBs like him. Plus, you've got the tush-push thing where anytime you get to 3rd and 1, you're going to convert. But it is interesting to me that there are like offenses over the last few years that Jalen Hurts has run across 3 different coordinators. We've said they go through these lulls. Why is that? Is it not his ability to attack the middle of the field? He's never been great at that. Is it the fact that he just likes these deep drops where he's trying to throw the ball outside the numbers and throw the ball downfield? And that leads to more boom or bust. But they need to figure it out. They need to figure out a short, intermediate pass game, and they have to get Saquon Barkley going. And then credit the Broncos for taking advantage and continuing to force those 3-and-outs and give their offense an opportunity because their offense didn't do a whole lot. The Eagles' defense was really cracking down until that second half. And a bunch of key completions, Bo Nix, Cortland Sutton, conversions, very important plays, and Nix made the plays when they needed it.
It's also worth at least bringing up that end of game sequence where Denver's up 4 now. There's only a few seconds left. Dallas Goedert gets this 4th down. Dallas Goedert basically gets tackled to keep the drive alive. Defensive pass interference to get a new set of downs. They then heave it deep to Goedert again, and incomplete this time. If a flag had come out in that play, I don't think it would have been a bad call.
I know.
Like, he definitely had hold of shoulder pad and kind of yanked him at the time. Now, again, it's one that looks worse the more you slow it down, but I think it was fairly reasonable to say that that's defensive pass interference as well. They don't give it to them, so instead the Eagles have to settle for that kind of Hail Mary attempt into the end zone, which had a shot, but didn't end up being complete. But that, like, if they get that call, they're now set up, like, at the 4-yard line or whatever it was, and we might be talking about a different result.
Okay, last thing, and I'll mention this with the Panthers game and everything. Super last thing. I'll mention it with the Panthers game.
Okay.
Which is coming up next.
So last thing. The last thing was the last thing.
It was the last thing. The difference in calls between the Broncos-Eagles game and the Dolphins-Panthers game. That's
Panthers game.
That's the thing I want to connect, and that is the next game that we're going to be talking about.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video.
Check the Mic is live every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a thing.
And the all-knowing algorithm is convinced you'll also like these videos, and who are we to argue?